Hello.
Hi, Patrícia.
Hello.
I'm very excited for this interview. I love this process we are going to talk about. So let's just start with the question. We are, or the topic is complete incomplete emotion space. It's called incomplete emotion or conversation. Perhaps some people know it as a complete incomplete conversation, something like this. So let's just give you the space to explain what it is for people who either never done it or know it under different name. What is it?
Yeah, so it's really nice to be here with you, Kamala.
Mhm.
And thanks for the invitation. So the complete incomplete emotions healing space, it is a healing space that is within the context of practice of possibility management. And completing incomplete emotion is precisely that, literally. So you go into the space, or you gather with someone to complete an emotion that is incomplete. And how do I know I have an incomplete emotion? Well, basically, you go back to a past, and this past can be 5 minutes from now, 5 hours, 5 days, 5 years, 30 years. It doesn't really matter the past. That something happened and you didn't say, or you didn't express what you wanted to have expressed and said. And the reason doesn't really matter. Sometimes we don't even have the verbal language to do so, or there's a lot of fear for losing my job or losing a friendship, or I'm not even aware that I wanted to have said something. So that's the invitation of this space. We go back to that situation and we complete, meaning we say what we wanted to have said and we express what we wanted to have expressed, right? So then the emotion gets completed, meaning you say, you feel heard, and then the energy dissolves, it dissipates again. So then the whole cycle is complete. And how the process works in a logistical way. So it's normally done in pairs, or if there's a third person, this third person is going to be the coach. So you have a client and a space holder. So the client will start the process by saying, I want to complete an incomplete emotion with, and then you say the name of the person, or you say the name of a thing. So I've been researching about this space for a while, and I've been discovering that we also carry incomplete emotions not only with people, but also with like objects, places, groups, collectives, or even like money or the earth. Anything really can have an incomplete emotion attached to it. So you say, I want to complete an incomplete emotion with the name of the person or the thing, and then the space holder will stand up, spin, and use their clicker to allow the energy of that thing or of that person to be in the space. And then you start as a client. You start what? You start saying what you wanted to have said. So I feel angry at you because you didn't see me, or I feel angry at you, teacher, because you exposed me in front of everyone, and that was not okay for me. Or I feel sad, I feel joy, I feel scared. So you start saying and expressing whatever was attached to that situation, and then the process goes into layers. As you go, you will discover other emotions attached to it and what's underneath all, until you get to a moment that you feel complete.
Mhm.
So that's basically how the process goes. So it's not a dialogue. It's not an emotional healing process, which is another healing process that is within the possibility management context, meaning I'm not going to close my eyes and go back into the past to navigate a no decision or to find a block to remove or a past life process. It's nothing about that. You basically complete your communication, right? So you say something, and then the space holder that is evoking an energy of someone else, hears you, and
Mhm.
repeats what you're saying with completion loops. So you feel heard in a sound feedback, and then a sentence energetically dissipates. And you do that all over, all over, all over until there's nothing else to say,
Mhm.
till you feel complete. And just to finish the process, if there's a coach, a third person supporting the process, this coach will help the client navigate the process by inviting the client to feel if the client is not feeling anything or it's just too much in their intellectual body, explaining or describing the situation. So, this process is about feeling. So, you're going to complete an emotion, right? So, the invitation is for you to feel as you complete your communication. So
Mhm.
that's basically how the process goes.
Yeah. Yeah, as you are talking, I have this vision. It would be nice to have a demo or something, but
Mm.
perhaps that's another step. Um, yeah, perhaps people who never heard of completion loops, could you give an example or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. It's like a wonderful technique for communication, right? So basically, completion loops, it is basically repeating what I heard. So, the process of communication, the map of communication, there's something. So us here, Kamala. So I want to tell you something. So I codify an information verbally, and then I communicate the information, and then it gets to you. You're gonna decodify the information. And if you repeat what I codified, it gets back to me as a feedback, as a sound feedback, and then I to myself think, oh, yeah, that was precisely what I wanted to communicate. So
Hmm.
that's why it's a loop.
Yeah.
Because, like I say something and then you repeat what I said, it comes back to me as a loop and I feel heard.
Hmm.
And then you know that what I said was precisely what I wanted to communicate. We both know. So
Yeah.
that's why it's a loop.
Yeah. So myself, when I do completion loop, I tend to not to say everything the words, but I try to be as precise as what they say because sometimes it's too many topics and people don't give you even a pause, or I get lost. But I just say essence what they said, like, "Oh, I hear you feel sad because he hasn't respected you," or sometimes I miss the first sentence, but oh, I hear you, he hasn't respected you. So any as much as I can, usually when I do personal completion loop for people, I try to do that way, and that's also my experience when people do it for me. Sometimes they don't hear me, or they are not the frequency where I am, so they try as much as they can. Or
Yeah.
I think like it works. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I said repeat, right? Because it's not really a repetition, right? You just bring back the information that you heard, not necessarily with the exact words that the person said, because it's what you're saying, right? Sometimes the person is saying a lot of things, and it's just not easy to just memorize instantaneously what the person is saying. But the important thing is to get the gist of it and feed back to the person.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you made a completion loop if the codifier, if the person that said the sentence gives you a yes, that's what I said. So when you hear a yes
Hmm.
after a completion loop, that's how you know the communication was complete.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, I'll come back to that later also. There was a couple of times I did complete incomplete emotions many times, and it's very healing. I really want to confirm. There are maybe times when people don't really complete and they start channeling or doing other things, but they just experimenting with what doesn't fully work. So I want to come back to that later. But
Mhm.
generally, it's very easy to just be a space holder. I want to come back there. There we touched on kind of feeling angry, sad, joyful, and afraid. These are core feelings and emotions from possibility management context. Could you say more about that? Because I have a tendency to remind people to come back to just the pure anger. Could be mixed, I can imagine. You know, they can be totally mixed. What do you want to say about that to
Yeah,
coach or
yeah,
to hear them?
yeah. So possibility management bring two maps that are called the map. Well, one basically map, the map of feelings, the map of four feelings that was based on a previous map that was originally created by a writer called Valerie Langford. She published a book called Four Feelings and What to Do with Them.
Mhm.
And in that book, she created this map, which is basically simplifying. For me, it's a simplification or just thinking about the emotions in a palette, in a sort of palette. So primary emotions, basically. So the four, she proposed four primary emotions, which are anger, fear, sadness, and joy. And
Mhm.
and then possibility management uses that map as the core map for basically anything in the context.
Mhm.
And yeah, so basically feelings are those four, right? And then when you go to the emotion, you can have mixed emotions, or if you think of the palette, like subtypes. So I'm gonna just bring fear, for instance, right? Like fear as the primary feeling, and then you would have like subtypes of fear or different scales, like terror or panic or horror or even awe as like palettes of fear. And then you would have the mixing emotions with fear, like fear with joy, fear with anger, fear with sadness, that gives you depression, fear with joy that gives you hysteria. So you would have the mixed emotions, right? And basically the basic distinction between feelings and emotions is that emotions are about the past. They last longer than 3 to 5 minutes, and they're normally attached to a story. So
Mhm.
emotions are to heal things. Feelings
Mhm.
are in the present. You use them. They're pure energy, archetypal energy, primal energy. So they come, they are resources. You use them, they dissipate, they go
Mhm.
away in less than 5 minutes. So that's
Okay.
basically the distinction
Mhm.
within the possibility management. So this map exists in many different contexts, and people will say different things about the distinction of emotions and feelings.
Yes. So in my experience, I tend to guide people. There are ways, like sometimes even if I'm one-on-one, there is
Mm,
no coach. I tend to like coach. I think we can also talk about that. So when I have a strong impulse, and there's also another topic of overcoaching or undercoaching. So sometimes it's good not to undercoach or overcoach. But that I think also we can touch on that. But that's one of the topics I want to share. Like yeah, I tend to remind people to come back to the feeling, like maybe to distinguish. There is this distinction. I have a story. So yeah, that's maybe another one. And there are many things I yeah
yeah,
like.
and you're bringing like the two core distinctions of the complete incomplete emotions process, which is the completion loop. So that's the basic. So in the completing incomplete emotion space, you're going to complete communication. So you need the completion loops, right?
Mm,
The other core distinction is the four feelings and emotions. So in the completing complete emotions, you're
I
just
see.
feeling emotions. So there are stories attached to what you're feeling. So the whole idea of the
Mhm,
process is to get aware of them and express them so they
mhm.
circulate, so they dissolve, so the energy dissipates.
Yeah. So what you are saying that it's sometimes good to let them be kind of messy because sometimes they could be having a mixed emotions and let them just as much as possible to complete as a space holder because I'm channeling the person. Let's say I'm channeling the person of their neighbor or a friend or a lover. And as much as it's messy, let them just complete. But occasionally there is a space to coach when I really feel that they could be more aware that, oh yeah, that's great, keep going, or express more or be more clear that there is more fear or yeah, so
Yeah, yeah. So the coach is key. If there's a coach, is super powerful because it's the person who's gonna precisely use their fear to navigate this space and to sense what could be gateways for the process to evolve, right? So we are bringing something. If someone is raging, it might be that someone is raging, but what is beneath that rage is pure sadness.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
the person is not there yet, but the coach can already sense that. So the coach can give invitations
Mm-hmm.
like, no, will you check if there's anything else that you're feeling? Will you just scan your body to see if there's any emotion or any other feeling there? So that's one thing the coach can do. The other thing the coach can do is again like to really invite the client to feel, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
what I again, this process is not a dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a conversation.
Yes.
It is a healing space in
Mm-hmm.
which the space holder, who is the listener, also is going to be in service of that process. So
Mm-hmm.
what I see, and I also want to invite you to bring your experience, Kamala, because you've been into this space a lot of times. So what I see happening often is that people tend to go to their heads and explain the situation. That's one thing. And the other thing is a lot of projection, right? So a lot of people do the process saying things like, you did this, you don't listen
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Yeah.
I want you to change. I want you to do something different. I want you. So there's a lot of unconscious projection into
Mm-hmm.
the person instead of saying, no, I feel sad or I feel anger. I want to do some, I want to propose. I want to shift. You are out of my personal space. I take you out of my personal space, right? Instead of declaring, using the power of declaring, there's a lot of unconscious projection. So
Mm-hmm.
the coach can also see that and invite the person to bring the empowerment to use their anger,
Yeah.
their clear anger, their pure anger, to declare things like what works for me, what I want to negotiate, what I'm negotiating, what I'm just cutting out of my
Mm-hmm.
life, right?
Yeah. So in a sense, it's a space of healing and empowerment. Take
Yeah.
your power back. Kind of a set a boundary, but it's not a place to set a boundary. But in my experience, you can also say, take your power back and also set a boundary. I'm done with this. This is over. Sometimes I used to coach a little bit, just say, okay, this is over, or because it's a place of empowerment. It's not completely space to learn to set a boundary, but it can be very empowering space also to learn to set a boundary. To
Yeah, I love that because, when there's an incomplete emotion with someone or with
Mhm.
something, there is still an energetic connection between those two people or between those two things, right? So
Mhm.
the energy of that person is still in your personal space.
Mm, yes.
So, yes, I love what you're bringing. Yeah, doing completing an incomplete emotion. Yes, it is about bringing your authority back and saying,
Mhm.
this is over. I'm done.
It is, yes.
And you need your anger. You need your archetypal pure anger to say, this is over. And I want to
Yeah.
feel complete,
Mm.
right? So when you do the process, yes, it's also about empowering yourself to clean your personal space.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, in my experience, maybe there's another topic. There's so many topics that come in questions.
Yeah.
I remember I had a grudges and resentment with my housemate for like 5 years. I was blaming him. And as much as I studied how to stop blaming someone, I knew I'm putting myself in a victim position. And then I discovered complete incomplete emotions, and I wanted to lift my energy and not to feel like victim around him. And I needed three spaces there at least. And I knew that I need EHP, like a healing space. And I tried that. And it was not as powerful as trying. I repeated the complete incomplete emotion, like I must have done it 3 times, but it really shifted. I felt my energy lifting. In the first space, I was just sobbing and crying or then next phase I was just angry and angry. But at some point I just accepted. I accepted something that felt right. And I just heard him doing the completion loop. The person was kind of a role play. Sometimes I use the word role play, but it's not a role play. And I felt heard. I felt heard that I said, oh yeah, you are like this. And something started to complete and started to shift. So it was very healing for me. I started to, I don't feel like I have anything to, like, I don't feel so associated with him in that strong emotional sense. I could just be.
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely wonderful. And you're also bringing something about who you want to complete an incomplete emotion with, right? Because I also see a lot of people coming to the space to complete emotions with their mother or with their father or with their siblings. Yeah, you could do that, but just like prepare yourself to spend a lot of years of your life trying to complete emotions with their father or your mother, right? Because those people,
Mhm.
because they're so connected to you and so part of your story in your stories, they have a lot of ramifications, right? So when you are
Mhm.
completing one emotion with them, you might discover 10 more, 15 more, and then
Yeah.
you are going to be in the loop for a long time, right? So my invitation whenever people come into this space, especially for the first time, is to complete something with someone, a neighbor, a teacher, a teacher. Teachers are wonderful to complete emotions with.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
a friend, ex-partners, the bus driver.
Mhm.
So you can really taste how it is to feel
Mhm.
in all your five bodies, what it is to feel complete.
Yeah. Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just want to check the time because we have 40 minutes together. We have maybe 10 more
Yeah.
minutes.
Ish.
Ish. Okay. So yeah, there is always so many questions. I'm very passionate about this. So I will briefly come back to this with my, like, let's say, housemate. Is it okay to do complete incomplete emotion on the same person few times? As you said, it's fine. Maybe once a week if that's been a big topic.
Yeah, as I was saying, some people have a lot of ramifications, right? So
Mm-hmm.
not only one emotion that is connected to that person. It could be many. Like you could have had many situations with your roommate that you didn't say what you wanted to have said, or
Okay.
you didn't express what you wanted to have expressed. You didn't place a boundary. You didn't connect the way you wanted to have connected. So it goes, it can go, right? Endlessly.
Mhm.
We
Okay.
carry tons of incomplete emotions.
Okay.
Every day there is an incomplete emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also feel like I'm taking a stand to bring this into my professional context, which is the university. So I'm also going to start an incomplete emotions academia version, because I think there are so many universities. Academia for me is like a machine of resentment.
Mm.
There's so many emotions that are not complete because of a lot of fear, like researchers, students, um,
Yes.
professors feel afraid of just saying what they want to say. They're just
Yes.
so afraid of just expressing whatever. So I'm also expanding this healing process to academia and just make it like an open space for researchers, students,
Mhm.
PhD students, professors, or even
Mhm.
admin people to come into the space and complete incomplete emotions.
Yeah. I really celebrate this. Thank you. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, there is so much to say also about this kind of authority concept, patriarchy taking your authority back. This is part of the possibility management kind of adult initiation in a modern culture, but that's a completely different topic. But that's part where we are. We are taking their context into this work. And this seems to be like one branch of possibility management, complete incomplete emotion, and which is open to public. It's a free space. Maybe before we close, you can also say you offer public sessions, like free sessions, or how to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah. Thank you, Kamala. Yeah, it is an open free space. It happens every single Tuesday, starting September. It will be at 2 p.m. Set Central Europe time, so 1 p.m. Portugal time on Zoom. So you come, you can just be in the space every single Tuesday to complete a different emotion. And we also have a Telegram group that is open to anyone with and with no distinctions in the or without the possibility management context. So anyone is welcome to join the space, and we'll share the link just below
Mhm.
this video. Yeah, so
Yeah.
anyone is welcome.
Yeah, I have always new questions and new topics arising, and the fresh one does arouse, or how to say, uh, is like, for example, for you, I noticed you've been doing this and space holding and sending Zoom link and breakup rooms for 2 years or who knows how long. I'm quite new to possibility management. I came without the training, but I'm just a researcher. I came over a year ago, just researching, and I've seen you there already. But like, I want to know how it benefited you, what changed in you, if you are able to set clear boundaries with people or anything, or it's still like a lot of work to be done, or.
Yeah, well, thanks for that question. Yeah, it's gonna be now, beginning of November, it's gonna be 2 years that I've been holding this space weekly. And I not only hold the space, but I also do the process. So every Tuesday, I also complete an incomplete emotion. Oh my God, first, there's like so much energetic load that is off of my body. So a lot of healing for this past 2 years and a lot of opening space for connecting to those people in a different way. Because also
Mhm,
I sense whenever I complete an incomplete emotion with real people that are alive, that's what I mean. It's so much easier to connect to them after.
mhm,
And I've also had the privilege to also complete incomplete emotions with the person, with the real person,
mhm,
which is really powerful and
mhm.
beautiful. So much love and healing happening, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of space in my personal space, a lot of healing happened, more clarity. The space brings me a lot of clarity. Like what is it that is really beneath what I'm feeling?
Mhm,
What is it? So it brings me like the underneath layers of what I'm feeling and what I want to do after. So it
yeah.
brings me a lot of clarity too, and just overall health, honestly, like bringing my authority back and my
Mhm.
center back. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
is.
and I guess a sense of ownership, because in these spaces, either when I'm space holding, I notice people shifting with ownership of their drama creation. Suddenly, I even say nothing. There doesn't have to be sometimes even a coaching. They just start feeling more angry instead of projecting, or like, you are these, like, kind of this bully drama attitude. And sometimes if you just hold space for them and let them, then they after 5 minutes they realize, oh my God, I've been just kind of probably creating a drama. Like, they realize that it's me to be like, they start completing. And I really celebrate when I see these shifts in other people, like especially with love partners or ex-partners. Yeah, there is so much to celebrate, also me, like, as I said. But yeah, and for
Yeah,
you.
the
Mhm,
clarity, the clarity brings a lot of clarity to what I want to say, what is really the drama, and am I in a drama? And this clarity of communicating what I want to communicate really, what I'm feeling really, and what I want to do with it.
yeah.
This sense of responsibility too. It brings a lot of responsibility in the sense of choosing what I want to do with it.
That's a good question. What do I want to do with it? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice. Yeah. Yeah, so we're coming to the end slowly. It's just, yeah, there is also something that when I am one-on-one, so there are things that as a space holder I'm allowed to say, that like, it's not landing. As you say, what do you really want to say to me? or what do you want to do with it? It's probably not the right question, but there are a couple of questions that I'm allowed instead of completion loop to say as a space holder. If we have time, we could touch on this topic or next time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so you brought one. Sometimes what the person is saying, the client, what the person is telling me, not Patricia, but me as the person who is allowing the energy of someone else to be in my space. When there is a communication coming, there might be the case that it doesn't land, meaning the person is telling me something, but it's not really what the person wants to tell me.
Hmm. What do you really want to tell me? Sometimes I hear you
Yeah.
saying, instead of completion loop, you just give me kind of nudge as the person, which is.
Yeah, and the way I notice this is energetically. There's something that doesn't touch me. The communication doesn't touch me, doesn't get into me. There's
Hmm.
something that is not being said. So you as a space holder can point to that and you can say, yeah, this is not what you're telling me is not resonating with me. Like, what do you really want to tell me? So this,
Yeah, and yeah, and this is also something that sorry, it's like similar, just adding, like I notice my kind of a client that sometimes they go away because they are used to exploring and investigating an emotion, and they started just exploring and kind of talking to themselves. And I just said, what do you really want to tell me? Because now we are in this space, and if you want to explore, it's maybe for another space. So I just remind them, what do you really want to tell me as your past lover, let's say? Because sometimes some experienced coaches and healers, they start investigating their emotions, and it's about another space, I guess. Like.
yeah, exactly. They start asking questions to interpret, to find a justification for what I'm feeling. And
Mm-hmm,
that's not the point here. It's just
mm-hmm,
to express what you're feeling
mm-hmm. To
and
connect, yeah, to
connect.
I'm here, what do you want to tell me, like looking in the eyes, because I'm kind of the role player. That's another kind of false distinction that we could have talked about. It's
Yeah,
just being the energy of the person, kind of not a role player. I usually say it's a role play, but it's another role play.
yeah,
It's just taking the energy, and just this is not landing, or like instead
exactly,
of coaching, because coaching could be sometimes disturbing if I'm just one-on-one. I think just
exactly,
minimum is better, I think.
exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
It's a different kind of listen. It's not listening to understand. It's not listening
Mhm.
to understanding. You're just for yeah, you're at service. You're just feedback.
Just listening.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to make sense. You don't know what they're talking about. You might not have a clue about something. You just repeat. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's good to have more matrix in possibility management. I think they call it matrix, that you have some rage club, that you are maybe more stronger space holder. I actually had a someone who is not very experienced with PM, and although it's for non-PM people also, but she kind of could not. She left in the middle, because I said to my kind of friend, I love you. And she said, I cannot deal with this. She just had to leave the space. For her, she could not complete because it triggered her. When I said to him, maybe it was not landing fully, maybe she didn't know how to coach me, but she could have just done a completion loop. It's just me exploring what kind of love I feel toward my friend.
Yeah.
And she could not handle that. How can I say, a man, I love you? She got so triggered. She said, actually, this space is not for me. I will need to leave. So this is an example of like something could actually trigger even a space holder, and that happened to me once.
Yeah, just very briefly, to share what I've been experimenting with in terms of bringing this healing space with people who are not part of possibility management spaces.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna bring you the most recent one and a possibility team we had. So the path we chose to get to the complete emotion healing space was first to practice the three types of listening. So we did the neurotic, what is in PM is called neurotic listening or normal listening, and then we did the active slash adult listening with completion loops, and we did the listening for possibilities. And then we went to the completing complete emotion space. So after
Mm-hmm.
practicing completion loops for a bit, we did the process. And then the field was open. People were more like, ah, okay, I know how this goes.
More ready. because we kind of carry the old thoughtware, which I'm still using sometimes, like being a good girl, blah blah blah. A lot of boxes, and I notice myself talking. Many people can relate, and then we kind of slide to the old thoughtware or the neurotic talking, just a lot of blah blah. And then when you are in a healing spaces, you're transitioning to be more grounded and really speak. And we sometimes so scared. It's like writing a love letter to really be centered and
Yeah.
really speak from the center. And it's quite new, but it's not kind of a gremlin. It's not a shadow. It's just really exploring naked heart or something more like not deeper or how to say, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So for people who have no distinctions, meaning who are not in the possibility management context and practice spaces, it would be nice to prepare, right? To prepare the space to get there because it is the complete incomplete emotions
Mm.
is a healing space.
Yeah.
So it's a healing process.
Mm-hmm.
So if you start that out of the blue without giving some context and some
Mm-hmm.
distinctions before, it's there might be that some people will just be super
Yeah.
afraid and just leave the space as it happened to you.
Yeah, yeah. She was already quite experienced, but I think she, it was like people have the layer of evolution, and it's what it is. Sometimes all people want to hear is love and light, or there is
Mm.
a level of energy of joy. How can you just be so comfortable about expressing sadness? So there is a level of old map, like, and I've been there, and I needed that. I was in a space where I only needed white clothes in my life, only needed to hear about the happiness and joy. So this is a place where people need healing for a year just to hear about joy, and then there is a next level where you kind of you're full of joy, but you need to also explore these darker parts of you, very authentic, and that's usually what's hidden also in a relationship, like they are really hiding it, and when we don't talk to each other or
Yeah. Then we go back to the actual and the new thought way of feelings, right? The map.
yeah,
So the old and the new map of feelings.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I sense the space is getting complete soon, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of richness in a space to explore with you also.
Yeah, and
I
I want to invite whoever is watching us, please join if you want to get to know more about this space. Just reach out to any of us. We would be just very glad to talk about it and to invite you to do the process because
Mhm,
it's just a wonderful, powerful, and also beautiful process to go through as a healing
mhm.
practice.
Yeah. Thank you, Patricia, for bringing these distinctions. And every time you speak, I gain more clarity
Mm.
because I like to invite new people and like how to introduce it. And people still make kind of mixing up and making the raw baby step mistakes about how to do completion loop and then they forget or whatever. So it's good to have this kind of recording and your presentation and clarity. Thank
Yeah, thank you so much, Kamala, for the challenge and for the invitation. I feel very
you.
glad to be here with you. Yeah.